What is up, my Lorcana goons? Welcome to the top 8 meta breakdown for the MinMax Collectibles 2K tournament. I'm here with Bag. Say what's up, Bag. How you doing?
What is up, Lorcana Goons? We have a 2K tournament top 8 for you this time. It was 62 players. It's a little bit bigger of a prize pool, so I'm really excited to see what decks are in this high level tournament.
Yeah, we actually got some feedback footnotes from one of the players that was in top 4 from Matthew Okimoto. He let us know that the pricing was it was a $50 entry for the tournament, and the pricing was first place $800, second place $400, third and fourth place 200, fifth through eighth place got $100, and then they even did a top I guess 14 pricing for 9th through 11th place 75 and 12 through 14 $50. So event ran smooth, they said. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into these top 8 decks, and then we'll go over those footnotes after. But shout out to Matthew. He has a Twitter and a YouTube called Meta Potion TCG. So check out Meta Potion TCG on YouTube and Twitter. But yeah, let's get into this first list. What do you think about it, Bag? It is a Amber Steel from Matthew Okamoto. Top 4. It's a little guy Amber Steel deck with 3 lanterns.
Yeah, it's a standard little guy deck. I don't see nothing too out of the ordinary here. It's a solid deck. We've already discussed this in the past. The Amber Steel is making a big impact on the meta as it previously was Ruby Amethyst, but we see the rise in this Amber Steel deck, and it's what a lot of people played originally in our group. So I mean, it's interesting to see how that deck still stands to the test of time as we've been experimenting with Lorcana.
Yeah, as we get into like the first month officially of Lorcana metagame, it seems like this is one of the most competitive decks next to Ruby Amethyst. The only difference I see here from some of the other lists we've seen is that it is playing only one Prince Eric. But this seems like the standard list right now. You're playing multiple lanterns, you're playing Carefree and Rockstar Stitch, and then you have to play some removal like Smash or Fire the Cannons. But it's such a powerful deck, man. Such a crazy deck. You also got Simba Future King to kind of
Mhm.
cycle through your deck a little faster. I do want to point out they are playing Tinkerbell Tiny Tactician, which is always a good card to curve on, right? But great deck. Congrats, Matthew Okamoto. Thanks again for those footnotes. He did let us know that he did go into game 3 in a lot of his matchups. So that's kind of interesting. He says that maybe 50 minutes might not be enough for this game, but that maybe more time might not be necessarily the way to, I guess, fix the problem, right? But even though this
I
was
think it'll fix itself with new cards.
yeah, it'll probably fix itself with new cards, but we'll go into the next one we got over here. We have Joey Win. Joey Win with a Ruby Amethyst deck. This is a Broom Goon deck over here. We have multiple things that I want to point out, like the Mickey BLT. We also have Double Befuddle in there. They got the one Ursula, which is always good, and some evasive characters like Goofy and Pongo.
They definitely put those evasives in there with the Goofy and Pongo, which I'm always a fan of, especially like you said, the BLT since it is evasive. Is there no Cauldron in this deck?
No
That's
Cauldron.
interesting. Triple Magic Mirror and White Rabbit's Pocket Watch. Are people opting out now? It seems right.
People have been dropping Cauldron, I've noticed. It seems more like Pocket Watch and Mirrors are mandatory, even Shield of Virtue. But yeah, right now people really have to cut out some cards to make room for the early game. As you can see, they're maxing, no, they're playing a lot of early game
Yeah.
like Archimedes, Rooms, Gaston, LeFou, and even one copy of the Elsa on turn 3. So very interesting list, but nothing that we haven't seen before, right? Ruby Amethyst, big, still making waves, still making waves.
Hmm.
If you want to contribute to the comment section that you see on your screen, feel free to go on Lorcana Goon's Facebook and Twitter if you want to add some comments and likes to these deck lists. So next one we have Christopher Neal, top 4. This one is a Amber Sapphire. Check this one out. We've seen this deck again plenty of times. The value deck. I think this deck is really good and easily in the top 4 decks of the
Yeah.
chapter 1 metagame.
I like the I like this list a lot. I like the color combination. I'm interested how that Maximus worked. The 3/3. I don't really see it as often,
Hmm.
but it must have worked out for them since they made it into the top 4. I'm glad to see Bell being thrown back into Sapphire. I know a lot of the decks I've seen recently don't have the Bell in there, and
Yeah.
I think it's still a good card.
Yeah, Bell's kind of cool. It becomes kind of a win condition for you. And in a deck like this, you can really keep it alive. You know what I mean? You can kind of stack your ink up all the way to 10 and drop a Bell or two in one turn, and all of a sudden you're questing for 10 lore. You know, potentially. And they have a lot of ramp in this deck. So they have the 4 Grandmas, the 4 makings and a 3-1 jump ahead. So it's a very high ramp deck with this combination of cards that we see going on here, which we have seen before with Amber Sapphire, but usually we see stuff like You Have Forgotten Me, to kind of control the mid game. But this seems a little
Hmm.
bit more aggressive when you're ramping that much.
Yeah, it looks like they have one goal and they weren't gonna stray away from it. They want to ramp. They want to get the game going as fast as possible, especially with like cards like Maleficent and then the Stitch, the Surfer Stitch. Those late game cards that come in early, if
Hmm.
you are able to ramp fast enough, are pretty scary to the opponent, especially when you've if you've played against decks that use just in time. Throwing out that 5 drop like turn 3 can really change the game.
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll go on to the next top four. This is the other color in top eight. This is a Emerald Sapphire. We have from Guillermo Mercado. Congrats to you for this top four list. Kind of cool. Some interesting cards I want to point out, like four Mother Gothel. That's interesting, and no John Silver. So
Hmm.
no John Silver in this deck, and we even got one Jasmine of Agrabah. What do you think, man?
I think the maxing out on Megara is crazy because Megara actually is like it's it's in the deck, but I've seen people play one or two. I haven't seen a lot of people put four in,
Hmm.
and if you like forget about it and just do a quick trade because you're like, oh, I'll just get rid of the Flynn Rider now or whatever, you're just like, I'm just gonna get this out of the way and not have to deal with it. And Megara comes down and gets a good trade with something else. Like it can put a lot of pressure, I think, in my opinion, especially in the experiences I've had playing with the deck and against the deck. I think it's a very good addition. The one Jasmine is interesting to me though. Like it's just the healing, right? Yeah, the healing I guess is pretty impactful in a deck like this, especially if stuff's like living and getting hit more than one turn.
Yeah,
I
it
think it's useful.
it is a 60 card deck, so there is only that one Jasmine to kind of round off that 60 cards. I wonder if the healing factor was that important. So, Guillermo, let us know how that one Jasmine made an impact on your day that day for the tournament. But I do like that you mentioned for Megara because I noticed that too as I was putting this deck together. Very powerful stuff there, man. Megara lets you combo off with the Mickey Mouse, with the Flynn Rider, even with your Flounder and your Dukes from the early game. So, it's a card that is very
They also
unique.
have the fill in there too, so
Yeah, it's a little bit unique to Phil though because Megara happens when you play it, whereas Phil you have to wait a turn to quest him, right? Megara, like you said, it's hard to play around
yeah.
because like when you see your opponent ink one, play one, you're not gonna think, ah, he has another Megara in his deck. He went through two already. Then they start playing that third and fourth one
Yeah.
and on a good trade. Ooh, you're biting your nails on that one. But it's congrats to Guillermo Mercado for the top four.
Mhm.
Top four split by the way. So that was top four. Now we'll go to top eight. We have Carlos Ruiz with a Ruby Amethyst deck. Very similar to the one we saw earlier, actually. Pretty close to the same card list. Main difference is, though, that they're playing Elsa, Queen Regent, which is a 4 ink character with 4 strength and 4 willpower that quests for 1. Interesting. We've seen one other list playing this Elsa, and then my cousin, who's brand new to Lorcana, the other day, he made this deck on Pixelborn, and he threw in this Elsa, just not having any context. And me and Bag were kind of like giggling and being like, haha, that's not the Elsa you have to play, but like I guess it is the Elsa you have to play, right? Like what's the deal here, man?
Especially since they dropped the correct Elsa that we thought was correct to put this one in. It's very interesting that maybe this is just the way, and he's very good at card games. So maybe we just kind of
Maybe we were
was
asleep.
a little bit not paying attention to him just because he hasn't been playing. But I guess maybe he was right the whole time. I wonder why the one queen and one Jetsam. That's interesting. I
Yeah,
guess they're not really worried about the drawing because of the mirror.
just gotta round off some of the card choices sometimes. Maybe it's even card availability. Maybe he just couldn't find a second queen. Carlos Ruiz, if you want to drop some comments on our Facebook or Instagram or Twitter where we posted all these deck lists, please give us some feedback from your tournament experience. But interesting, okay, interesting deck. I do want to try those Elsas out in my build of Ruby Amethyst. But now we have another Amber Steel by John Carpenter. This deck we were just talking about a little while
A little
ago.
bit more mid range.
What would you call this? Mid-range? Not really mid-range. It's like, a mid-range princess, early game with Lilos. You got 4 Moana, 4 Cinderella, 4 Lilo, and then you're not playing any Carefree Surfer Stitch in this deck. What do you think? Do you like it?
I like it. I would try it out. I definitely was like leaning more toward deck that played more of these princesses, just because it's Disney. You got to play the princesses. That's like what
Yeah.
they're all about. And what's his name, John Carpenter, really put it at the top 8 of this 2K.
Yeah, you gotta put some respect on the princess name, bro, because Moana is a 5 ink character that quests for 3. That is a lot, you know. I feel like there's not that many characters that quest for
Mm-hmm.
3, let alone 5 ink characters. So it's like another Maleficent that Amber has that you can stack on, with a deck like this. So I like to see this making top cuts of tournaments. Makes me want to try it out myself, because I am very fond of the princess cards, and I have 3 Rapunzels, but I don't have any Carefree Surfer Stitches, so I don't really want to spend an extra, $200 on getting 4 Carefree Surfer Stitches. So maybe I can play this deck instead, right, and make use of my Lilos that went from $20 to
Yeah.
set to $7. And if you want to know more about prices, check out the Market Watch
Yeah, and
videos.
then the Moanas.
And the Moanas, you know
And
what
the
I mean?
Moanas that are in the starter decks that I'm sure everyone has plenty of.
Hmm.
We also don't really like mention Moana's actual effect when it quests, so especially with the more princesses, you're able to ready them, and since the princesses do have a lot of health, they're able to do the trades after they quest and stay alive, and then even combo it off with Rapunzel.
Yeah, yeah, very true, very true. Moana's effect, very, very useful in a deck where you play this many princesses, right? Ariel is also a princess. We often forget to
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge that. But next list we have is from Joseph Rodriguez. This is a top 8 list of a Ruby Amethyst. I wanted to point out this is a 70
Mm-hmm.
card deck list, by the way. So 70 cards. Joseph Rodriguez is playing interesting cards like 4 Mickey BLT, 4 Befuddle, and 2 Cauldron, our favorite card. That is going to be. Oh no, we have one more. Sorry, that is going to be the 7th, and we have the 8th list here coming. We have Amber Steel by Kevin Ribeiro. So this is a mid-range package, I think. We're not seeing any lanterns, we're not seeing any Rockstar Stitches, no Lilos, and we see Cerberus, Kuna Matata. There's 9 songs in this deck.
Hans.
Yeah, sorry, no, there's 13 songs in this deck. Wow. So your Ariel's usually not gonna miss, right? I like this deck because it looks like you play 4 of everything except for like one part of your world and 3 Cerberus. Very
Yeah,
cool.
no whole new world either, so they're just really discarding the hand, controlling the game.
Yeah, no.
Interesting. This looks like a little bit different than the other ones, so this looks like a little more of spice compared to the rest of the top eight.
Yeah, we've seen lists like this before on the channel. Very very mid range. Han's 13th in Line is a card that has a lot of like use case, and in the meta, and it just kind of depends on the tournament you're playing in. Sometimes if you have really good matchups, this card can be amazing, and then sometimes, in my opinion, this card it may not be the best against certain matchups. But according to Meta Potion, which was our Matthew Okamoto, which is the first Amber Steel list we went over. He did mention that although Amber Steel and Ruby Amethyst are the most represented decks, he definitely felt like the meta is ever changing and that more than those 2 decks are more than playable. So, he was one of the only undefeateds
Hmm.
going into the last round. So he was able to like kind of give us that like good feedback about how other decks are just as competitive as his. The only thing that he did mention that he kind of was feeling weird about was that they did allow intentional draws. So I do want to ask the community, what's your opinion on intentional draws, and tournament play overall? He said, great tournament experience, and he's really looking forward to the organized tournament play of Lorcana and the competitive scene coming in next year.
Yeah, and it's good to mention that even though the top eight is majority Ruby Amethyst Amber Steel, you still see the Sapphire Emerald, the Sapphire Amber. So I'm sure there was more in like the top 16, top 32, and all that we just didn't make the top eight too.
Yeah, of course, of course. So never let it discourage you from playing a deck or like theory crafting some like deck stuff that you wanna take to a locals. I do feel like Larcana is in a state right now in real life, anyways, where you can make certain decks and do very well with them at tournaments. Pixelborn's a little different story though, because Pixelborn you're just playing a bunch of Amber Steel mirror matches, but in
Mm.
real life you can do a lot with the cards you have. So congrats to everyone who got in top 8. Thanks again to Meta Potion, aka Matthew Okamoto, for giving us that personal tournament feedback with his tournament report and overall experience. And thank you guys for once again checking out Lorcana Goons. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you like Lorcana content, right, Bag?
Right, and be sure to follow us on all social media and join our Discord. We have a lot more goons in there now, and there's always someone in there chatting, showing the new cards, showing tournaments. So it's a nice little hub for you guys to join just to be caught up with the community.
Yes, yes. Be on the lookout for the next videos that are coming soon, and we will see you goons next time.
Later, goons.